Hey Kevin.
How's it going?
Not too bad. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, man. Sometimes publicly far, like properly.
Say again?
I think we've only spoken to each other before properly, haven't we?
Yeah. It's been a while. You've been busy.
Ah, jeez, man, it's non-stop over here. Brilliant, man. Oh, the revolution is in full swing. Never felt better.
Keeping you busy with that water, eh?
Yeah, but man, like, the war is the tip of the iceberg. The good thing about the war is it's the issue that's getting in the mainstream mindset. So now the ordinary guy in the street will start asking questions, and we're giving them the answers. So, like, people are waking up very quick over here. They know the company, that they know that the government is set up as a company, they know about contract law, and they're prepared. The people over here, women and fathers, mothers and fathers are prepared to go to jail for this. So when you have a population that's prepared to go to jail for their principles, then you've lost the battle.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
that's where it's come to now.
Yeah. So it's all happening with that, and there's stuff happening there with the Gardaí, or the police out there, on the media, putting out blatant, like, yeah, scandalous lies, saying that the movement was being infiltrated by dissident Republicans, which is a very easy thing to say over here. They're saying that there's 3 police officers being assaulted a day, when there hasn't been a single charge in the last 6 months. No protester has been charged for anything in the last 6 months, but the papers are saying 3 cops are getting arrested or attacked. And then yesterday we had the armed response unit going into a residential estate, a housing estate, to peace the protesters. So it's getting really serious when the government are pulling out all the stops. We're getting inside information from leaks, I guess, inside sources in the Gardaí, who are saying that they've got an instruction now to say, to discredit the movement at whatever cost, and to confiscate all recorded equipment. But we're anticipating now on our big protest in December, we're anticipating aid for officers and things like that. So we don't really know what's going to happen, but the people are determined. There's nothing that the government can do now to put this monster back in its box. We're not going to stop until the country is fixed. So for most people, that means sorting out Irish water. It means getting rid of the government in the next election. But for other people who've been doing this for a while and been waiting for this moment, it means getting out of Europe. It means taking our country back. It means getting rid of the euro and really, taking our sovereignty back. So we're in a process now where that momentum starts, where we can actually, maybe, hopefully, probably actually do this.
What's your area in EU? Do you know?
My area?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Say that again.
What do you mean?
Like area code.
Oh, for the phone, like?
Yeah, for part of where you are.
For telephone was 00353.
All right.
What did you ask?
No, I was wondering. I was talking to Andy, who was on here earlier, and we were wondering, which code you were. What's yours, Andy?
Number 7.
You're on 7.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Well, they've divided up Europe in sub-zones. You won't find a map. You won't find a map if you Google it. But if you look in the right place, all areas of Europe have got numbers, a bit like FEMA camp regions in America.
I've seen the map before.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Well,
And Scotland are kind of in the same region and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we're not going into that, to be honest with you. Do you know what I mean? That's just lines on the page that someone's up to the car out down in Europe. I don't believe that. Do you know what I mean? So I don't saying to people over here that, well, how are we going to get out of Europe? They think it's going to be a difficult thing, that we're going to have to go the legal route, we're going to have to go the political route to do this sort of not what we got. But it's not. It's much simpler than that. It's much simpler than that. We just need to reinstate or redeclare a new state, actually. And then once you do that, all the obligations to Europe are gone. And the beauty about Ireland is we have such a small population. We only have 4.5 million people in the Republic. That's not a lot of people that you need to say, as is one over there, where its population is humongous. So that's kind of stands in our interest here. We're also an island surrounded by fish, which is our fish that we have to give to Europe. We have plenty off the west coast. We have enough resources to look after ourselves, and we're a self-sufficient country. We produce enough food to feed the country and export. So we're in a prime location. We're close to Iceland as well. Culturally, historically, we have connections to Iceland. Iceland failed against Europe, as we know, they're doing what they're doing. So even if we're going to come out of this, we would have allies in Russia, we have allies in India, and we have allies in Iceland and countries like that. We wouldn't be out on our own. But because we're isolated on the west coast of Europe, if we actually succeed, it will ripple effect across the rest of the Eurozone. That's why I think it's so important.
Well, it sounds to me like you're having better success in Ireland in waking people up than we have on the mainland here.
Definitely, I do admire how much committed you guys have got. You know, just in the past weeks alone, I've seen a significant rise.
There are people in the mainland now. I think it's Kevin who got Andy here. That know about the contract. You know, no contract from the water board. There are people in the mainland that are actually saying, you know, not paying their water bill, and I'm not sure how it's covered in the legal system or the law, which way you want to look at it in Ireland, but, you know, it's not only lawful, because, you know, unalienable rights to disconnect water, it's also illegal to disconnect you. So why people pay a water bill in the first place, I don't know.
Well, you're making a very good point there, and this is something that we have sort of forced to come out into the light, that the government have tried to threaten us by saying they're going to turn the water down to a trickle, lower the pressure, basically. They said that they're going to hike tax, if we don't pay, they're going to hike tax by 4%. And then that was the bump the next day by analysts, you know. They also said in our recent budget, which was only a couple of weeks ago, they gave £5 extra to the kids in child allowance. Like £5, you know what I mean? Happy Christmas, there's another £5. And
most of your charge from sewage, isn't it? That's most of your cost towards your water bill, your sewerage.
It's not over here in Ireland. We have pipes in the ground that are here since you lot were over. Do you know what I mean? Our pipes in Dublin are Victorian, they're rusted to bits. And we do pay for water in this country. That's the misconception that's being portrayed internationally, is that we don't want to pay for water. We do pay for it in taxation. In the 90s, they tried to bring in water charges, and a massive movement stopped them. So instead of bringing in water charges, they increased car tax and VAT. So we have a higher rate of VAT and 5% extra car tax than the rest of Europe. That rate is 1.2 billion a year, and that's since the 90s. So you're talking nearly 20 years they've been doing that. So that's 20 billion. Where the hell is 20 billion going that we're supposed to be investing in pipes and infrastructure and this and Europe? They're telling us now that our system is 40% leaking. That's what's costing us our money, is the leaks at the moment. So
yeah, I would say, I'd add to that, Don. I'd say, if they said that to me about the sewage rates, I'd say, it's okay, mate, I'll take a crap outside. Disconnect me.
Well, because it's illegal to disconnect, like you said. Well, I don't know why people pay it anyway, because it's illegal to disconnect your water if you don't pay.
That's put in the media now. That's being pushed out in the media over here, where we know for a fact that they are not able to disconnect you. So they can't.
They're not allowed. Yeah, it's illegal for just disconnect water.
The only people who are going to pay are people who are ignorant and afraid, which is where.
I pay over 8 months, but I pay £33.10 a month over 8 months, and then I don't pay for the remaining another 4 months.
That doesn't sound too expensive, but we're looking at bills of like £500. And look, I family in England, they go back and forth between the UK and Ireland, right? And we're all suffering. There's a recession across the whole place, yeah? But in Ireland, it's like, it is that bad that families cannot feed their children. And they're getting sent to school with no food, do you know what I mean? And they're stealing food from each other. And that's how bad it's getting here now. So, to put another bill on top of people, it's not even that they won't pay, it's they cannot pay. So, we've heard people saying, like, we're never going to give up because we have nothing left to give now. And that's a situation to be in if you're the status quo, you're the government, and the people are gotten to that desperation.
Kev, it's very much the same here, but for some reason, people just won't wake up. They think that because there's food banks, they Oh, Christ's sake, man.
Bless you, man.
Are you alright? Alright. Yeah, well, they think because we've got food banks here, you know, we can't possibly starve, so we're alright. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous what people are putting up with.
Kids have got to rely on breakfast clubs at school if they're lucky. If they're fortunate enough to have that going in the school. Not all schools have got that going.
We did have it here until cutbacks mean they can't actually afford it anymore. My auntie is very big in this movement as well, which is comes as a surprise to me because I didn't know she was this taking a lot. I added her on Facebook about 6 months ago and looked, and all of her page was covered in sort of stuff, so I was surprised. But she's actually very involved in the movement where she's actually on the megaphone, you know, at the demonstrations, and she's a teacher. And I had her on the radio show with a bunch of other people. Like I wouldn't be telling people that's my auntie on air, but I had her on air, and then she was saying that from her, where she is in the school, she said that it was the disabled and handicapped children that got hit first. It was the traveller children. It was all the most vulnerable people were getting hit, obviously. So it's not even a question of bad policy. It's a question of actually a war against the poor.
Absolutely.
So, and you were saying there for not being awake up there. I wouldn't be so disheartened about it because you have a much bigger population, and that's probably why you can't feel it and see it as much as we are over here. We're just very lucky now that we've had this catalyst, which is the Irish water issue. If you go on to the Facebook pages now, it's like Tierna Steer was back in the day. Everybody is awake, everybody is tuned into what's going on. They're all saying turn off the media. They're boycotting petrol stations because the same guy who owns Irish Water owns Shell petrol. So every day there's boycotts going on at petrol stations and we have them all shut down. It's massive. I'm so happy, like over the moon with what's happening. It's exhilarating. Like I went we were known through this, and he said to me that he's never felt so happy since the day he got married. That's the mood on the street over here, you know.
Well, apart from his Million Mass March, we need to get a bit of that mood over here, I think.
We need to get a bit of passion, to be honest, don't we?
Our thing here, it's not so much a case in Ireland because it's not under their jurisdiction, but the answer's in the legal system, the lawful system, and that's the Magna Carta and the English Bill of Rights. You really don't need anything else.
Yeah.
You really don't. It's the actual, the redress is there. It's
we need a bit of backbone. That's what we need.
Yeah.
Collective
Having the ability of officers. Something happened along the way where politicians and officers don't get held to account. We have a big problem with it over here. We have the DPP, you have Crown Prosecution, I think. But the Crown Prosecution Service is supposed to work for the people and the state. So you should be able to go to them and complain about a cop, and they should actually take a criminal case against them. There's people over here, I think Guy Taylor is doing something like that. There's a guy over here, a mate of mine, and he's been trying to do that, and he's been getting somewhere with it, as in he got the paperwork lodged and he keeps pursuing it. But then they had him in prison for 2 weeks. You know,
we've got similar boat as well, Kev.
They're still going to get hit back down.
Yeah, we've been speaking to a guy who's been taking treason charges forward, and you know they're just getting ignored.
How's the movement over there, Kevin, with the mortgage situation going?
That's another serious situation. Like there's going to be 1,000 families evicted before Christmas. We're saying, like, you know, Irish history is a very, you know, there's a lot of struggle in it. And what's happening here, it's like what happened back when the landlords were owning everything. They're evicting people who couldn't afford to pay their rent. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing the same scenes that we see photographs of from a couple of 100 years ago. So it's a very sensitive issue in Ireland, the idea of houses and all of that and evictions. But there's a number of groups out there, like the Anti-Eviction Task Force, we've got the Land League. And the Land League is a revival of a historical group that was around back then when this was happening before. And these would be also the National Citizen Movement, the whole, there's a couple of other ones as well, Debt Options, People of Era, they all kind of deal with that. And some of them might be taking court cases Some might be literally just, you know, occupying a house to stop them from seizing it, whatever it is. But like, it is.
Isn't it unlawful in Irish, like, because these are English banks that are repossessing, aren't they? These are English banks that are repossessing homes, isn't it?
Well, I don't think it comes into it. I don't think the nationality comes into it with banks. I think they're more international. Like, we have Bank of Ireland, Anglo-Irish, and Allied Irish. Now, they're supposed to be Irish banks, but they were set up originally by England. So, we have so now, because we bailed them out, so we actually nationalised those banks. They belong to the people. So, I would argue, if I got into power, if I was king for a day, the first piece of law I would do is forgiveness of all outstanding debts and mortgages as restitution for the bailout. Because we've already fucking paid them.
Yeah, what a scam that was, wasn't it?
Exactly. But it's like, yeah, they're getting away with it, but only so much, because the more they do, the more they wake up and the more people determine. I have an idea that I've been working on. Well, just one way to talk about people to get to vote, to get to go ahead. But we've got, there's 4.5 million people in Ireland, but there's 50 million Irish passports in the world. 50 million, so that's a lot. And always in our history, whenever we've had time to struggle, we've called out to our expats overseas to help us. So what we're thinking of doing now is like a funded campaign to help the evicted people and try and raise money so that we can actually go in and buy these houses off the banks in the auctions. So that's another thing people are doing, they're boycotting auctions. So if there's an auction and they're selling off a distressed property, they're going into this auction and they're saying, this house has a, you know, a legal dispute over it, you'd be advised not to buy it, la la la, and then nobody bids on it. So
I saw some of that on YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the angle that they're taking. But imagine we could go in there and boycott the auction so nobody else puts their hand up, but we can swing and put our hand up and buy that house and give it to the people and they'll own it outright. They did that with the Occupy. We got the idea from the Occupy Wall Street because they got so many donations that when Occupy finished up, they still had loads of money left over and they didn't know what to do with it. So they started doing that. They started buying people's houses for them and paying off student loans.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like there's a lot more going on, a lot more people involved. But compared to the population, it sounds to me like you're getting your shit into gear, whereas over here we're still having trouble waking people up. It's just really, really difficult. People just...
This surpassed the tolerance level, I think, over there.
Yeah, but it's the old, stiff upper lip, but, these people have got no lips left to have a stiff upper lip. I mean, they should just turn around and look at the state of themselves and look at the state of families, look at the state of morals, look at the state of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Just to buy a loaf of bread, it's absolutely stupid. I mean, 17 million are on the dole. When they say, well, they're not, there's only 3 million. Well, no, it's working tax credit. It's working tax credit. Half their wages is made up from the dole. It's bloody ridiculous. Absolutely stupid. And I just don't know why people don't get it. I mean, what's people going to do on so-called benefits and that? Wait until they've got £1 a week. We are the same as Ireland, but people don't realise it, and I just don't know how you get through to them, PJ. I really don't,
But what sort of what way are you trying to get through to people?
It's just the normal way that, whichever way we can. I used to sort of look along the lawful side of things, freeing on the land, that sort of thing, and that's okay. That's all right, but that's, a lot of people will debunk it or whatever, but the fact of the matter is, if you just start to understand, it doesn't matter who said what, but a lot of the fundamentals in that, a lot of the things that are said are actually true, and it's how it works. It doesn't matter whether you could, tell a policeman to piss off or whatever as a public servant and all the rest of it. That's not the point. It was about waking people up. And there's a multitude of different things going on with different groups and different people. The only trouble is with it all is all the groups say, you're wrong, we're doing it right, you're doing it wrong, you're talking shit. And of course, these groups are all divided instead of all coming together under a common cause, which is, what we're all about, getting rid of these psychopathic fraudsters that are in charge of the system. Or we could go a bit higher. It depends on what your hide and that, who's the shadow government, who's the government behind the government. But look, you've got to get rid of the people that are telling the police to beat up their own people in the street and take food off the homeless, move them on, steal their sleeping bags. You've got that all going on here. It's, you know, it's on the mainland. You know, you can't, you know, you won't be able to give a slice of bread to a homeless person next.
But you can't in America now. There's
But the thing is, I think, Kev, and the rest of you guys, it's all these groups arguing about which is the best way to approach it. He's a bullshit, he's a shill, he's working for the government. All this, I don't believe in brain, don't believe in this one, don't believe in that one. They're all undercover, they're all agent provocateur. Hang on a minute, we're full of shit here, we're drowning amongst ourselves because we're all contradicting each other. Don't trust this one, don't trust this one, don't trust that blogger, don't trust this guy, don't. And it basically, we're going to get nowhere.
Well, what you're saying there to me is very similar to what a mate of mine was saying recently, Dan from No Borders Radio. And he stepped down from the radio this week. He's had enough, and he's handing everything over to himself. But he was saying exactly the same thing as you. Yeah. The shills, the this, the that, and the other. And look, from my experience, I don't know if you know much about the history of James here, what happened a couple of years ago when it was basically infiltrated by controlled opposition, and you know, it was a very serious, like, it was serious for me, a serious time of my life, and it was very difficult to deal with. But look, we persevered, and we're still here, and you know, they're doing their thing, we're doing our thing. But the lesson that I learned from that is that, like, you know, you can't care even about what other people are doing, whether they're shield or not. Like, what that taught me was that I have to just do what I can do by myself, and if people want to belong that way, they can, and if they don't, they don't. Sometimes I'm doing a radio show, well, I might have like 4 listeners. That doesn't bother me though. It doesn't affect me at all, because I'm not in this for what the likes of other people, what those people came to infiltrate it with before, which is fame and notoriety and things like that. As long as I'm confident in myself, that I'm doing what I know I can do, then that's where my responsibility ends. And the other thing on that is, like, you know, we can sit here and dispute the details of this forever, but we can agree probably that we have the same principle and we're united on principle, even though we might have different ways of approaching it. And the problem with all of these movements is, and this is what we're saying now to the Irish water crowds, because we're starting to get, you know, it's been going for a while now, you start to get differences of opinion. We need to remind each other that it's not important what the details are, just to focus on the principle, which is getting this water out. It's the same with, like, Brand, it's the same with these people. Are we united on principle? If we are, then we're already working together. We don't have to even talk to each other. We just do our own thing and we're working together. But I can imagine for you guys, it must be frustrating if you're doing what you're doing for a good while as well, and, you know, you don't feel like you're getting the sort of feedback that it deserves. And this is the same with Ben. This is why he stepped back and says, look, I've given everything I can. I've been doing this for 7 years, and now I have to step back because I have to look after my life, you know. And then we'd be beating our head off the wall waiting for everybody to wake up, I guess. And if you can just get even a handful of people to wake up, or even one person, is that not worth it? I think it is.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm, you know, I don't go on radio shows. I don't go on anything. I just put a few bits up on my Facebook page. That's all I do. I don't do anything anybody else doesn't do. But I know that after time, you know, there's no comments, there's no likes, there's nothing. You might put some information out there that's legit and to wake people up. But I do it because I know people looking at it. But I also factor in some people are too damn scared to even comment. Because they think, you know, they think they're going to be riddled by their friends or whatever. I mean, you know, so. But I still do it because I know full well people are going to read it, especially, I mean, you can start with your family. Your family members and your family's friends, you know, and the friends of them, and the friends of them, or whatever. So I just carry on doing it, whether I get comments or thumbs up or disagreement. I like somebody come on and say, this is bullshit, conspiracy theorist, and I say thank you, because, you know, I'm using my own brain, not somebody else's. I take it as a compliment. A lot of people can't handle the word conspiracy. Well, to me, thank you very much. You know, it's not a problem. It's a barometer. I may have been a conspiracy theorist. I'm going to probably word bloody word anyway. So I do what I do, but it's just a shame because there's a common goal there for all everybody that that do wake up, and is to is if it can all get sort of all right, we'll do our individual things in our own way and whatever. And I agree with you, Kevin. That's the way I should carry on, definitely. But it's just maybe it will come together. I hope so. Because it's not going to be very nice for future generations if it does.
No, absolutely not. But again, I think it's like you need that catalyst. Up in Scotland, they had a catalyst there recently with the referendum. Now, quite the way they wanted to, but what it's done is it's got people thinking and talking about the sort of system that they want to live in, which is half the battle, really. Because it's not an info war, it's a consciousness war. And if people's mind changes, well then there's no that can set that back. But you can be putting information in people's face and they might never get it. But it's when they feel an imperative, like you say, the future generations or the destiny of the country is at stake and things like that. What I think what happens is there's like an ancient something is stirred inside of you that our ancestors would have all had this when there was danger coming, that they would have known to assemble and stand together. And so maybe that's probably what the UK is missing at the moment. But perhaps the Irish water thing might actually be your catalyst as well. Because if this succeeds over here, people are going to look and people are going to go, holy shit, Ireland did it. That means we can do it. If little old Ireland did it, then we can do it too.
Yeah.
That's what I hope to see anyway, but maybe I'm being wishful thinking because, I live here and I love the country, so I'd like to see that happen.
It's a shame people do. I mean, I don't know what's happened since, but you could say the same. Do in Iceland. I mean, what they've done in Iceland is this little community. It's its own, but they stood in them streets with them pots and pans, and they weren't going, were they?
No. Well, funny you mentioned Iceland. Hordor Torkelson was over here. This Irish water thing, it's been coming for a long time. It's just exploded now. But last year we did a protest called the Lockout, and it was the same groups. These are not political groups. These are activists, for want of a better word. And when we went into the Parliament, there was a barrier around the whole thing. I've never seen anything like that before in the city. They were afraid of us. And at this protest, there was probably at any one time a maximum of 500 people. That's all. And they still had barriers of blocking the whole perimeter of Parliament. But what's happening now is a continuation of those protests. People-centred protests, non-political. So, yeah, it has been a long time coming. It's been brewing for a while. But I think that, it's not just water for us, even though the government keeps saying it, and even though the media it's not about the water, it's about everything that they've done since we signed up to Europe. We're not going to settle after the water. We're going to get rid of our property charge. We're going to get rid of we're definitely 100% getting rid of this government before the next election, and that will make history in itself. And I think once people, this is the thing, we all went out to protest, and people were surprised that there was 100,000 on the streets of Dublin. They were like, holy shit, I did not think there would be this many people. And then when we marched and we sang and we chanted, and it was an amazing protest. The energy was just electric. And people felt for the first time what people power actually was. And it felt good. They could feel it in their belly now. People are saying, I can actually feel a fire in my belly. A passion in their stomach that they're going to do this. And that's what I mean when I say it's a consciousness war, because those people have made that decision in themselves. There's not much that we need to do now as activists or as the people who've been expecting it for a while, except just try and guide that consciousness towards a good conclusion. So when they realise that this government is full of shit, we have to say, it's not just this government, it's all governments. Do you know what I mean? And just be putting it like that into the consciousness now while the mind is open to receive them. And then that will shape where we're going then.
Absolutely. And I should watch with great interest. I haven't kept a big eye on Ireland, and when they came out with that tape of the Bank of Ireland and that, I couldn't, I mean, What did people think about that tape? You know, when they recorded. Well, I can't remember. Was he the CEO of the Bank of Ireland? I can't remember now. What was it?
Not paying back the money. They were laughing about it. So
Yeah.
the street was outraged, you know. But nothing happened. Like these people were broken. They'd given up for such a long time, and I think that it's to do with our history again. That look, the country was occupied for 700 years, right? In the past. It's not to bring up the past, it's just to put things into perspective. They got their independence less than 100 years ago. Well, we got the illusion of independence, because it was an illusion. So when the shit started to come down the stream again, people were just like, I think subconsciously saying, I can't deal with this again. You know, because they weren't prepared to be rebels again, because we've been rebels for fucking so long, for nearly 1,000 years, and they're like, we just want it to be normal. But they realise that it's gone past that point now where they need to be rebels again. They need to tap into the spirit of their ancestors that never gave up. So that has been roused. And we owe the government of the country a big thank you, because they have pushed us so far into a corner that it's like a bully. The bully kept poking, and then the kid turned around and hit the bully such a dig that he knocked him out and never bullied again. That's what I want to happen.
Well, I think you're certainly per population. You're certainly woken up more than people in the UK. Well, maybe it's just my opinion. Maybe there's more awake than I think, but a lot of people are frightened of change. They're scared to put their head above the parapet. You know, they got their little 9-to-5 job, and they're doing okay. They're doing okay. They think they're doing okay. I'm just scraping my bills. I'm paying 10% of what I should be paying, and and they just keep rolling it over. Well, they haven't woke up to the fact that
they haven't got the feet in the shoes, Andy, yet, have they?
No. Well,
they're being called the working poor.
Yeah.
That's what they are. They're the working poor. But it's very interesting to watch what's happening in the media over here as well, because you can tell they're dying. They're just dying to slate the government. And you get the odd article here or there, and then the next day there'll be an article slating the protesters saying they're all fucking in the raft, which is stupid. Where the fuck are the raft having to need them though? That's what I'm thinking. But anyway, so this news story came out the other day, and it was the way it was written was so powerful, because it was saying us, the working poor. So the journalist knew damn well what she was doing. She was creating an us against them mentality in the reader. And then she had a paragraph that was directly to the tea shop, and a paragraph that was directly to the Taoiseach, the Prime Minister and the Deputy, that was just like, you need to fucking go. Now, this is unheard of in our newspapers, specifically when the newspapers, this is the thing, the guy who owns Irish Water is our Rothschild. He owns all the newspapers, he owns the Shell company that's fucking taking our oil out on the west coast, and you know, they got it for like £70,000 they got the contract for, something stupid like that. It's the same guy, and he owns all the newspapers, and he owns most of the English ones as well. He owns a company that, you know, is like an umbrella corporation for all of these newspapers. So when you start seeing in his own newspapers, the journalists are trying to get their little articles in here or there, you know that it's happening. You know that it's just on that tipping point now, where even the people who you would consider mainstream, or who keep the mainstream going, they are just waiting for the right time where they can act as well. It's like they're waiting for us to create the circumstances that they need to come out and support us, you know.
They are starting to panic over here as well, and I mean the water bill. You say you're into the water. How the fuck can you own something that falls out the air for free? You know, this is the crazy thing about it all. I don't buy into the sewerage. If they want to talk about sewers where I am, the town where I am, like them sewers have never had any work done on them since the Victorian era.
Mm.
Now you know. What are people paying for if it's a sewerage, right? What are they paying for? They've not done no work since the Victorian days on the sewers.
You're paying for it to be cleaned, aren't you?
What to be cleaned?
Your water, your drinking water from your tap.
What are you talking about, Dom? It's full of fluoride, man. You're paying to be poisoned.
You clean it by chemicals.
I know they put fluoride in it, Still, it's to pay. It must be to pay for it's cleaning that Liverpool.
I've a law degree as well, like, so I looked at the legal side behind all of this, and the fact is, I hate to say it, but there isn't a right to water. Well, there's a right to water. Don't put a cup on your window and wait for it to rain, and you can drink that and no one's going to stop you.
That's what I do.
There's no obligation on anybody to make sure to have clean water piped to your house. So that doesn't mean that there's no issue there in what you're saying. There is an issue in what you're saying, but it's like it's not being set up with the idea of benefit to the people and providing a facility, a utility. The company Irish Water, if you ring them up and ask them what do they do, their only purpose, not even to guarantee clean water, is a metering facility. They're providing you the facility of telling you how much water you're taking and charging you for the privilege of that. So we had a case here in Ireland back in the 70s when a woman tried to take fluoride out. She wanted to get fluoride taken out of the water. It was in the Supreme Court. And the judge said, look, you can go, we used to have pump wells at the time, and he said, you don't have to drink that water. You can go and get water somewhere else, you know. This is true, you know, there isn't an obligation on them to do that. But it's not the point. Like, nobody is against paying for water in this country. You know it needs to be managed. We do pay for it already, that's the problem, and it hasn't been managed. So I even rang up to the Department of Finance the other day, and I was like, where the hell is our money? We took 20 billion off us, what did you spend it on? And I said, are you going to give us it back now? If you're not paying for it, if we're not paying for it, sorry, if we're going to pay for it as customers, then surely you don't need the tax to pay for it. Which would make sense, but no, obviously not. And here's the thing, the other day on the news, could not believe this happened, on the state broadcaster, like BBC, we have RTE. This guy came out and he starts going, literally, he said, this is an accountancy trick that we're doing. He said that on the news. And he said, we're doing this to make it look like we have more or less debt on our books so we can go and borrow off Europe. But it's not like that there's less debt on the books, because the fucking debt has just been moved over to the people. It still exists. And no investor in the world is going to look at that and go, okay, you don't have a debt. So it's bullshit what they're saying.
Yeah.
And it's like legal wizardry. Oh, sorry, accountancy.
Well, I must confess, I'm grateful for my £12 rebate from my energy supplier this year, and I look forward to my next year's rebate of £12. But other than that, I'm still not happy.
Well, rebates and that, it's a whole complete farce when you look at the system. When you got the Bank of England, right, they turned around and they said their quantity is over £1 trillion. That means they've just plucked it out of thin air. They bail the banks out with this money that's created from nothing, absolutely zero. And then they pass that on, like Kevin says, to sweat equity debt. Your man in the street who has to work his arse off for something that was created for nothing. That's it. That's the whole game. It's the slightest trick. It's the best trick they've ever pulled, right, in history. If you look at the monetary system, forget the finance, forget the fractional banking. The fact of the matter is that this stuff they put interest on is created from nowhere. It doesn't exist. So basically, why do they need taxes? This is one thing I just can't get in my head. Maybe you could help me, Kevin, or PJ or Don.
It's the great global con,
why do they need taxes when they can create this shit out of thin air?
Because I think that it's a feudalistic system. And I'm not just saying that rhetorically. I mean,
I know.
So in order, like, they're doing it. I think the simple answer is they're doing it to suck up our energy, to keep us in a certain position of subjection. The only reason it could be. You're paying to live on the fucking planet you were born on. You have another choice if you came here or not, and you have to top up.
Absolutely, and that's what it's about. Sweat equity. There's the value, there's the wealth. Slave sweat equity. Okay? There is the wealth, there is the value. Forget money. Money's just nothing. It's just a means to the trade, that's all. A promissory note. I promise to pay. People don't get it's an IOU. And you explain to them, they go, yeah, I get that. Yeah, well, okay, can you explain it back to me? Oh, it's an IOU. Yeah, okay, IOU, right. Who do you give the IOU? And they still don't get it. It's an IOU for your sweat equity. That's what it's about. But, you know, if you take all that by the by, that, you know, you've got to have a society and it's got to be civilised and we've got to have jobs and we've all got to be working and all that. Yeah, okay. Okay, if people want that, they can have it. but don't take the piss, you know. It's just complete madness. How out of hand it's got, and it's good. They've got to pull the lever sometime. They can't just carry on with this Ponzi scheme. They just cannot carry on with the whole thing. At the end, they will pull the lever. They have to pull the lever, and they're gradually pulling it slowly now. With people, you know, not even being able to feed themselves. Well, I mean, what do people? Oh, I paid my mortgage, but I'm now going to the food bank. I mean, come on, what's that about? What? I paid my mortgage, but I'm going to the food bank. That is insanity at the highest degree, as far as I'm concerned, you know?
Absolutely.
So, this is madness, and you talk to people who are doing this, and they still can't smell the coffee, you know? It's pure madness, but hey, I think there's a few of us waking up,
So, Kevin, for anybody who wants to get behind what you're doing, where do they find you? Where are they going to go?
Do.
Anybody who wants to get into, like, follow what you're doing? Yeah.
Where do people have to go if they want to find my work, like?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
TuneSear.com is the main website. But the Facebook page, TuneSear on Facebook, is probably where we're most active at the moment. That's but we have about 15 moderators on that, and they're all brilliant. We've got journalists, we've got graphic design, we've got a good team of people there. So that page, I'll tell you something, like in the last week, it has just ballooned. Probably the last couple of weeks, we're touching 400,000 post reach, nearly 600 likes in the last week. So seriously, big time making waves, and that's probably the best place to go at the moment to keep an idea up to date with what's going on in Ireland, because we'll be sharing posts from all the other groups. We have a very good network, I'd say, with the other groups, simply because we've been doing this for a long time and we've crossed paths a number of times. So between ourselves, I think that TuneSear is kind of becoming the new media in the country, because people are switching off RTE and they're going, where the hell do I get the truth? And they're finally turning to TuneSear, which reminds me actually, because I know we were supposed to be streaming out on your radio, and it's just like, I just never get around to it when it's going up. I want to get more involved with that, and you still have to do it. But we also I'm going to have access to TV now, online television, that you can use as well, on the radio. You have your own radio, so you don't need that, but like, we're not, even though we're across the pond, we're all on the same site, because we're united on the principle, like we were saying before. So the resources that we have are your resources as well, because as far as I see, we're all on the same team, like, you know?
Yeah, it's collective unity, that's what we're looking for.
Exactly.
Yeah, so what we need to do is if there's any time you've got a few other people that you want to bring on for a chat, and, likewise we'll come to you, and, we'll try and raise as much awareness as we can.
Yeah, I'm reading about that water stuff in Ireland now. It's to pay back international financial bailout in 2010.
Yeah.
But the financial bailout, Kevin and his people didn't, what did they get?
I mean, I don't know, that was taxpayers' money they used, weren't it? To bail it out, so...
No, it's printed money out of thin air, Dom.
Oh, the printed money?
Yeah. It's not, they didn't go to every man and woman on the streets in Ireland and say, give me your money, did they, Ken?
But did the inflation, what happened to inflation?
I think there's another thing here with the Irish psyche, in that we were bet down by the Catholic Church for hundreds of years as well, and there's a Catholic guilt in this country. We all have it, and there's this idea that, we have to pay our bills. This is what I mean when saying that the battle is a consciousness battle, because people believe they have this obligation, and it's a moral obligation to them. Why wouldn't they pay it? They need to realise that they didn't have a moral obligation in the first place, because it's all a scam, because the money is fake, because your country is being sold out for money in Egypt. We're gone to that point now. Some people will settle, some people will stop when Irish water is done, when Irish water is finished, but there's hundreds of thousands of people who will not stop until we have gotten our money back off Europe. Do you know that of all the debt in Europe, if you were to put that all together, Ireland is paying 42% of the entire debt of Europe on this little island that never really got on its feet after independence in the first place, you know? So I think it's just designed to keep the Irish suppressed. And my sentiment to my own country would say it's because they know we're the fighting Irish, so they have to keep us going. That's what I'd like to think, anyway.
Yeah, first of all, it's good thought. It's good thought. You've got to see past the smoke and mirrors. That's what people, when you wake up, you see past the smoke and mirrors. You know. But first of all, you've got to sort of kind of. You're always waking up. You never stop waking up, Kevin. As far as I'm concerned, it's not a process that bingo. You just one day you know it all. It's a process. And the more you look into it, the more you find out about it and everything. But until people start to take that first initial step, mine was the Freeman on the Land thing. I just read the website, I read the information, I went, oh my God. And you're talking to a guy who was in his mid-40s at that time. Now, I started late. But, and I thought, well, this has been total shit, the whole thing. But it doesn't mean to say that Freeman on the Land is absolutely right in all aspects or whatever. It was just a waking up thing for me. So until people start making them first little steps and finding out that, and looking through all the scams, I mean, me personally, I think the biggest scam in the world which floats the financial market of the Western world derivatives is insurances. That's one of the biggest scams. A lot of people don't look into that. But basically, do you know what? And I think, people think they're being responsible by having insurances. Well, I would argue the case, you're being irresponsible by having insurances.
Would you have, why would you say that, first of all?
Well, insurances, because everybody, first and foremost, I was brought up in an old-fashioned way. I'm a baby boomer, yeah? Right, but my parents taught me you've got to be first and foremost responsible for yourself. Right, if you have an insurance for whatever means is, you're not being responsible because you want somebody to pay for your mistakes.
Okay, so with that in mind, let's say we didn't have insurance, what would you imagine could take the place for public liability? So if I did happen to crash into you or whatever it was.
Individual responsibility.
Individual responsibility. If you crashed into me, Kev, right, and I said, well, you've done some damage, there's no insurances involved, so I've got no insurances, and you went, well, I don't know what to do about that, I don't have the money at the moment, and I'll go, well, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a couple of months to come up with the money to pay the repair. Oh yeah, liability, yeah. The 2 months go by, you don't show, right? I then go to the court, right? And I say, can you bring this man because he's, this whatever. I take it to court and you say, well, look, I'm not gonna pay you. I haven't got the money. Bollocks to you. Right? But then I go back to the court and I issue a commercial lien. That means I can come to your property, take your car, take your goods, whatever it is, to the sum of the money you owe me. And that's how the legal system works.
Well, hey, think of all the advantages they have. They get to make all these new laws.
That's right, they do. Absolutely, Bob. The thing is, I mean, that's down the line. That's just my point about insurances. But I think first of all, people should live lawfully. By the law of the land, decent, responsible. You wouldn't need all this crap after bit in society. You wouldn't need 1,000 statutes a year. It's ridiculous.
It's irrelevant. I agree. The reason I sort of poking the question a bit is because in Ireland, when Ireland was still an independent country, before the Normans, Anglo-Normans and the Vikings even, we had a system of law called the Brehon Law, and we did have insurance in it, but it worked in a different way. The idea was that, if you're going out into the public, whether you're careful or not, you can still cause harm through accidents, right? So it's you needed to cover yourself, and the way you got covered is that your family vouched for you. Your family and your kin, your mates vouch for you. So we could actually do something like that today.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Listen, if you're going to make yourself liable, first of all, you've got to have the means. You know, if I've got a car, I've got to make sure that if I have an accident and I cause it, I've got to pay for the damage.
I think the problem is though, not everybody's going to be as responsible as yourself or the likes of us.
Well, then that make them outlaws then, Kev.
Huh?
Make them outlaws.
But that's it, yeah. That's it.
You know,
That is actually the answer that they would have done back then as well. But like the idea is that we could still use this principle today. Let's say if I wanted to get car insurance for argument's sake, just to use the word, but it was this old system. When I go and buy a car, I'd have to go to my dad, I'd have to go to my mother, I'd have to go to my uncles and aunties and people around me to say, will you sponsor me? Will you put money into my bond so that if I ever have an accident, I'll be able to pay for it, right? And so that's how you get your bond. Now, when I'm driving around in my car, think about this. I'm not just there by myself. My whole family is in that car with me, because if I fuck up while I'm driving, they're gonna eat me, like, you know what I mean? It's them I'm letting down, and they're gonna chastise me. So we have, like, built into that system, you have a moral reminder that your family, you're letting your whole plan down if you do something responsible.
Well, that's where it makes you more responsible. You know, if you can get away with people paying for your damage, then you're not going to be very responsible, are you?
Exactly. So instead of making us feel responsible, the insurance today gives us an excuse to outsource our responsibility. It's a huge difference, but just a slight tweak in the system, because it will still have the same consequences. It will still be quote, insured. But the manner in which it's done, it's going to have kind of like consequences to it, which is the consciousness of the individual who's doing this.
Yeah.
They're going to let down their whole family or their clan. But it's the same as if, like, if I'm in a spot of bother now, who would I turn to?
Family.
Into the race, like.
Are you still there, PJ?
Yeah, I'm still here. I don't know if
we lost Kevin, haven't we?
Yeah, but I don't know if we have. Have we still got you, Kev?
I'm still here,
yeah. Yeah, you were quite out there. I think you asked a question. Where's it turned to?
Sorry, I cut out, did I?
Yeah, you got cut out towards the end of that.
Oh, I was just saying that that's it really. That's a slight tweak in our understanding of how to, deal with public liability would change the consciousness of the people involved, because you're thinking about the people you're actually going to let down, your family, which you do let down anyway, if you ever do something wrong. So I'm saying, like, if you're in a spot of bother anyway today, you're going to ring your family, you're going to ring people, your clan, your kin, to help you. So the only difference is kind of acknowledge the fact that we do that anyway, and then regulate it into the way society is set up.
Yeah, well, this is where we used to have years ago. I grew up in the 60s and 70s, yeah. And yeah, there was corruption, then there was Profumo, there was a scandal, there was the Ted Eve thing, and the EEC, and the bollocks, and the bullshit, and all the rest how they got in it. There was just as much corruption and nasty stuff going on. But working class families had a certain amount of moral responsibility. So, I mean, I'm not sure whether it's there in the young people today. I look around sometimes, I think I see the odd chink of light, but mostly I don't see it. But I'm not blaming anybody. That's just the way that the people have been brainwashed into.
We've been brainwashed. We've been brainwashed, and like Kevin's saying, it's a unification, a consciousness, local rebellion. That's what we're looking for.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is, I told you the story. I'm not going to repeat it, but for Kevin's benefit. My dad taught me contract law. There's only one civil law, and that's contract law, Kevin. That's what my dad taught me.
No, but if you want to repeat it, you can do.
I sold an item when I was 7 years of age. I sold a go-kart to a best friend. Well, yeah, he was a best friend. And he wanted it so badly, he went back to his mum, and he said, how much do you want for it? I said, I don't really want to sell it, you can have it. He said, no, I want to give you something for it. I don't have things for nothing. I said, okay. So I went back and he got 10 shillings from his mum, because I said it was 10 shillings. It was a 10 shilling note, that's how long ago it was. Basically, and when I went, he come round and he gave me the 10 shillings, and I was going to give him the coke. My dad said, just hang on a minute, and he came out with the paper, with a copier underneath it and everything, and we wrote out a proper contract, signed by both, signed by a witness, and signed by my dad, and signed by everybody. It was a lawful contract for selling the go-kart. And that taught me, right? And he said that whatever you do in life later on, whatever you do for a living or whatever, if everything you do, make sure that you do with a contract. That's what my dad told me. So I was taught the correct old models, and that was installed in the family models. Now nobody would do that today, would they?
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
No, yeah.
So, you know, if the water board want their money, show me the contract. If the bank wants the mortgage money, show me the contract. There is no contract. Never has been, never will be, because with a contract, they have to show you full disclosure. And I don't think any banks are going to show you that they didn't get the money from a lender and they created it out of thin air. They ain't going to do it. So a mortgage is only ever going to be an agreement. And anything, bank loans, everything is just agreements. There is no contract.
No, I 100% agree with that. Like I say to people, it's contract makes it. It's not just that contract makes the law, the contract brings everything into existence. And all you need in society, you need two principles for a functioning, happy society, and that's the rule of contract. Contract agreements must be honoured, and don't cause harm, loss, or injury. So harm and freedom of contract is all we need.
Yeah, that's it. That is it. You only need one civil law, and that's contract law. There is nothing else. You don't really need anything else. I mean, if you're dealing with, you know, it's commerce. It just and common law, steal, rob, whatever. And not go about in a fraudulent, do your business in a non-fraudulent way. Be responsible and moral, and all these things would be fine. But of course, they're not going to make a lot of money out of it, are they? So, or a lot of sweat equity. Let's put it in the right place. So,
the only time there's going to be a need or let's say a desire for them to want to make money is if government exists. If government doesn't exist, then there's no possibility of exploiting that system. So government is the biggest threat to freedom.
Well, they've had a good time. They've had a fair few good time. The elites have lived off the milk and honey of everybody's sweat equity quite a long time. I think they've had a good run, don't you, Kev?
Yeah. I think it's time to give someone else a go now, yeah. It's
all good. It's all good. It's actually good to speak to people that are active and doing something. I mean, I've been to a few places, met a few people, and hung out with PJ and a few guys and that sort of thing. And I mean, if I can wake up, anybody can wake up. I was a bit of I've always felt anti-government or anti-establishment in a rebellious ways when I was younger, but I did have the morals, and I still stand by them today that my father taught me. And of course, unless they're expressed as an alternative, they'll die with me, Kev.
Yeah, well then, your father's obviously a good man to instill those principles in you, and I don't have kids myself, but I often imagine, how would I explain these things to them, and it'd be so much fun, I think, instilling these principles into a child at a young age, and watching what they do, because then they'll teach me so much, because I had to learn these principles myself much later on, so give the children in their innocence the knowledge, and let them teach us where we go next,
Well, you know what? There's the other thing, isn't there? I expect you've heard it by other people and whatever, but kid goes into the shop with his dad, and there's a little toy traction engine there or something, and Dad, I want it, buy it for me, Dad. And he goes, sorry son, I just don't have the money. And then the kid turns around and says, yes, yeah, you can get it. You go to that wall over there and you just draw it out of the hole in the wall. There's plenty of money. That's never true. That's so true from a kid, because that's all it is. It's just made up bloody stuff from nowhere. And I think pre-doctrine. What is it? the Jesuit priest says as well. Give me the boy for 7 years and I'll show you the man.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that was the Jesuits. Yeah, I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's you know, before the doctrine, that's correct. The kids are right. Before they go to school, they're bang on, you know. So we all need to be 6 years of age again, really, and we'll all be awake.
And never a day older.
That's right. But it's a lovely thought, isn't it? But there we go. But well, I'm going to go off to bed, gentlemen, because I've been late all week, and I'd like to start and chat a bit more.
Yeah,
But
likewise.
nice to meet you, Kev.
Yeah, Kev, thanks for coming, joining us.
And I'll we'll meet up again and have a chat, and let us know how it's going, and I'll check your Facebook site and that and see how it's going.
Yeah, I have the page anyway to keep the updates, and like I'm happy to come on and have a chat, which is what it is. Every want more updates as things are going on. But for now we're just kind of wait to see what happens next. December the 10th is the next big one. So we're trying to rally the troops, literally trying to rally the troops now, to prepare for that. Like we've been told that the army are on standby for this. So in response to that, we're going to have the war veterans come in with us. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we're going to put front centre with their badges and their uniform. We're going to put them with the women and the children. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and it's really exhilarating, exciting time to be here, I think. And I'm happy to connect with you guys over there, and like keep the chain of communication open. So we're all on the same page, we're all doing the same thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, just watch out, because the EU, Mr. Draghi, the head of the European Central Bank, or the EU Bank, whatever it is, Deutsche Bank, whatever it is, Draghi, is about to pull the lever on quantitative easing, so big time. So you know what that means, Kev, don't you?
Yep.
So that's pretty soon. Of course,
What sort of talking there, do you know?
Sorry?
Do you know what sort of time scale?
I don't know. It's just I just read articles. It's just hearsay from me. You know, I don't know anybody, but I just read articles, and I read between the lines, and this is what I come up with. I may be wrong, but I don't think so, because I think they're going to have to, and what are they going to do? You know?
Yeah, pull the plug.
Yeah, they're going to, and of course that means a lot more misery for Ireland and countries like yourself and Greece and Portugal.
It's going to be tough for a while, but like, you know, so there is good people over here who've been working tirelessly for a number of years, anticipate this. On my show next Wednesday at 9, I'm going to be interviewing people from the Land League, and they have an alternative banking system that they're promoting, the public banking forum. So ideas like that are in the pipeline. We just have to have the foresight, like what you're saying there, that you can see that this is going to happen. We're in a position we can see things coming down the line, so we can anticipate this and try and react before it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
It will be tough for people, but I actually welcome it, because, and that's probably what you guys need as well, because it's only when we get our backs against the wall that we fight back. So I actually welcome anything that the government has to throw at us now. They can throw extra taxes, they can bring the army in, anything they want to do, they can do it. They're still not going to win.
No. That's good.
To actually send more people over to our side, so bring it on.
Yeah, well, they're trying to dilute it as fast as they can with lots and lots of immigrant workers and all this business. But I speak to a few people on the continent, and they're not so. They're waking up too. I went to something the other year, was at the Bilderberg Fringe Festival at Watford last summer, and I met people from Belgium, from Germany, from Switzerland, from France, and they were awake to what's going on, you know. Why would they come to the Bilderberg meeting? Well, because they're involved in that. It's just not the UK. It's just not the UK. It's not Ireland, it's not just Ireland, it's not just UK, it's all of us.
It's not just Bilderberg either. I mean, we've got companies that deal with these legislations and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. That's just a pimple. That's part of the. That's just you've got. Yeah. We can go on all night about it, but I think we're all aware of what, who, and why, and when is probably a little bit harder to predict. But it's the frog in the. A lot of people use that analysis, don't they? The frog in the pan of water, put it on the stove. Yeah. Everybody uses that. It's a great analogy as far as I'm concerned. You couldn't put it better, really. So, but there'll come a point where that, we'll be cooked if nothing's done.
It's not looking too far away.
No, but anyway, what we're doing, PJ. I mean, Albert's great because at least he knows what he's talking about, and even though some of the things I don't sort of think is sometimes he sort of contradicts himself because of what his profession was, and his heart's still in the job, but it's still a lot of good information, and
maybe he's just missing a couple of links, with his work, and other people might have them for him, So we've talked about stuff what he said and added towards what we've heard from him and come up with something else.
Yeah, definitely. So onwards and upwards, chaps. So I wish both good evening, everybody. Don, Ems, I think Glenn's gone.
Yeah, Glenn's gone. See you later.
Cheers, Don. Thanks for hanging in with us. And if you want any more information, practical lawful descent, even though the barons signed that in 2001, and invoked Article 61 of the Magna Carta to the Queen, the four barons, right? Even though that's now that date, according to the guys that run the practical lawful descent, because of not the ratifying, because all the treaties were ratified in Europe. In 2009, the Lisbon Treaty was ratified, right? But they came into force on November the 1st this year. So they're saying, well, you can't use the barons invoking Article 61 in 2001, but I don't give a crap about that, because it still holds true today as when King John signed the 1215 Magna Carta, and it's still I don't care whether we go through the barons in 2001, which was a stitch up perhaps, or four barons that got chucked out of the House of Lords and then just back, whatever. It's still as valid today as it was in 1215, and they can't repeal it because it was pre-Parliament and it's a charter, and they can't do anything with it. Don't take the matters of the 1297, the statute, because Parliament wasn't about when the Great Charter was signed by King John, so you can't repeal it, and it's there, and that's why they want to get rid of it. And everything signing over to the EU, they may quote as being legal, but it certainly is not law.
We'll definitely get Albert on probably one day during this week, and we'll go through all that then.
Albert,
Say that again, Kevin?
Yeah. Well, maybe we can, me, you, Dom, and Emma, and whoever else is interested, and we can all get on here and have a little chat about it all. And good stuff, PJ. Good night. I'll catch you guys some more time.
Alright, guys. Thanks for joining.